This was one of those moments, Cowboys Nation, where the entire stadium goes quiet, where your heart drops before your mind can even process what just happened. Sunday Night Football, the lights as bright as they get, the season hanging by a thread, and suddenly the most important piece of your defensive turnaround is down on the turf again. Quinnen Williams, the engine of this Cowboys defense, the trade deadline acquisition that changed everything, goes down late in the fourth quarter and is headed to the locker room. And for a fan base that has seen too many seasons derailed by injuries, that moment hit hard. Let's be clear about one thing right away. This was not just another player limping off the field. This was Quinnen Williams, the guy who since arriving in Dallas has transformed the identity of this defense. The guy offenses have to double team. The guy who collapses pockets, erases running lanes, and allows everyone else to play faster. When he went down, flowing toward that Minnesota run play, when his legs got tangled underneath him and he stayed down in a heap, every Cowboys fan watching knew exactly what was at stake. And what made it even more concerning was that this wasn't the first time. Earlier in the game, Williams had already gone down after a brutal third down stop, a play where he did exactly what he's been doing since he put on the star, sacrificing his body to make winning plays. He made the tackle on 3rd and inches, carried the ball carrier past the marker, then quietly headed to the sideline and into the medical tent. At the time, it didn't look dramatic, no obvious twist, no violent collision. But when a player of his caliber leaves the field twice in one game, the alarm bells start ringing. And yet, this is where the story begins to shift, because what happened next matters just as much as the injury itself. Williams didn't stay down in the first half. He came back. He lined up again. He kept fighting. And even in the fourth quarter, after being tended to by trainers and assisted to the locker room, the early indications were that this was not catastrophic. Painful, yes. Scary, absolutely. But not the kind of injury that screams season ending. And for a Cowboys team whose playoff hopes still flicker, that distinction is massive. To understand why this moment matters so much, you have to understand what Quinnen Williams represents to this team. Before the trade deadline, the Cowboys' defense was broken, soft against the run, inconsistent up front, unable to generate pressure without selling out the back end. Since Williams arrived, that has changed dramatically. Dallas started winning at the line of scrimmage again. Opposing quarterbacks stopped stepping up comfortably. Linebackers like DeMarvion Overshown suddenly had clean lanes to attack. The entire defense started playing with confidence. This wasn't a coincidence. It was cause and effect. And that's why hearing Nick Saban talk about Quinnen Williams hits differently. Because Saban didn't just praise his talent, he praised his story. He reminded everyone that Williams wasn't some 5-star prodigy handed greatness. He was a grinder, a developmental player, a guy who worked his tail off at Alabama to become what he is today. Bigger, stronger, smarter, more relentless. And that mindset has followed him to Dallas. That's the part the stat sheet doesn't show. That's the part injuries don't erase. When Saban talks about Quinnen's competitive personality, his work ethic, his attitude, he's describing the exact type of player you want leading a defense in December football. And that's why, even in a moment of uncertainty, there is still belief inside this building. Because players like Quinnen Williams don't fold when things get hard. They don't disappear. They respond. And Cowboys Nation, this team needs that response now more than ever. The loss to Minnesota hurt. There's no sugarcoating that. It came at the worst possible time, in front of a national audience when momentum mattered most. And now Dallas finds itself needing help, needing perfection, needing the football gods to cooperate over the final stretch. But if you've been paying attention to this season, you know this team doesn't quit when it gets punched in the mouth. In fact, they've responded better when their backs are against the wall. That's what makes the Quinnen Williams situation so pivotal. If he's able to return quickly, if this injury is something he can manage, if he can be on the field for the stretch run, the Cowboys' defense remains a legitimate threat. With Trevon Diggs nearing a return, with DeMarvion Overshown gaining confidence by the snap, with Logan Wilson bringing stability, with young players stepping up, this defense still has the pieces to finish strong. And even if Williams has to miss time, his impact has already reshaped this unit. He set the standard. He's shown what it looks like to play through pain, to lead without saying much, to earn respect snap by snap. That matters in a locker room. That matters in December. This is not a Cowboys team that lacks talent. This is not a Cowboys team that lacks belief. What they need now is health, execution, and urgency. And the fact that Quinnen Williams was able to get up, walk with assistance, and avoid any immediate catastrophic diagnosis gives this fan base something to hold on to. Because seasons aren't defined by moments when everything goes right. They're defined by how teams respond when things go wrong. And the Cowboys have already shown this year that they are capable of responding. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Chiefs. They turned their defense around mid-season when most teams fold. That doesn't disappear because of one setback. So, as we wait for further updates, as we monitor practice reports and medical evaluations, one thing remains clear. Quinnen Williams is not just a defensive tackle on this roster. He is a tone setter, a culture builder, a cornerstone. And whatever happens next, his presence has already elevated this team. Cowboys Nation, this season is not over. The door is not closed. The path is narrow, but it still exists. And teams that are built on resilience, on accountability, on players who worked their way up from nothing are exactly the ones you don't want to see if they sneak into January football. Now I want to hear from you. How concerned are you about Quinnen Williams' injury? Do you believe this defense can hold up if he misses time? And do you still believe the Cowboys can make one more push when it matters most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe to Cowboys Nation Report, because no matter how this season ends, this team is building something real, and the story is far from finished.